What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're back outside with our boy Panzer. It's humid as crap out here, so I apologize if the lens is fogging up. It's been an issue. So today we're going to be fixing an issue that I made a couple videos ago. A lot of you guys picked up on it. When we did the transmission flush on the Subaru, I didn't drain from the proper drain plug. I drained from one of them, and I guess there's two of them on the 6-speeds. And I drained from the one that only drains out about a quart of the fluid. So right now we probably have 7 quarts in the transmission, where we should only have about 4. So we're gonna reflush the transmission today, and we're also gonna do an oil change because I haven't done an oil change on this car since we got it off the dyno, and I've done like 200 plus pulls in it and just been abusing the crap out of it. So kind of my fault there. I kind of feel bad, but we're gonna get that done today. Hopefully oil looks good and car will be happy afterwards. So you guys can see it literally looks like we're out here taking a shower because my lens keeps fogging up. Okay, well, I guess we'll just have to keep brushing it off. But over here we have our Redline cocktail. Once again, we got 3 lightweight shock proofs and 1 75W90. We got some oil filters and our good old VR1 2050 motor oil. We got our Company 23 T70, a 10 mil Allen, which is for the drain plug that we missed last time, and then, our breaker bars and ratchets. All right, so under the car, I want to show you guys this so we don't make the same mistake I did. We drain from the center diff right here, which you do have to drain from because it's all part of the same, transmission. But this is actually the drain plug that drains most of your fluid out. So we're gonna start with this one because obviously it drains out a little less fluid, and then we'll go to this one which has a little bit more pressure, and I'm probably gonna make a mess. So let's get the bucket under here and we'll drain from center diff. Hopefully we can do this without just covering the driveway with gear oil. Yep. You got a lot of fluid in it now. Dang. It's like a light 150 bucks down the drain, literally. Alright, so center diff is just about done draining. I did go ahead and just break this main one loose, which means it's about to get messy. I'm gonna take my watch off. Watch is off. Let's go ahead, see if we can do this without making the biggest mess in the world. Oh God. Nice and slow. Ah! Yep, there's a lot of fluid in there. There we go. Wasn't too bad. So once that gets done draining out, we can put our little drain plugs back on, and then we'll crack open the fill plug, which I'll show you guys in a second. But we want to make sure that the car is 100% level, which is why I have it outside right now. The back half of my garage slopes down so water can run out of the garage if it gets in. So pulled it out in the driveway, got it on 4 jack stands, and have it as level as possible. So that way when we fill the transmission, we know we're getting to the right full amount. And I'll show you in a second. We're gonna fill it up until it starts draining out of the fill plug, and that's how you know that it's full, because there is no dipstick on the transmission on these cars. We now have our drain plugs reinstalled, and up here, you'll see there's another little plug. So we already loosened it up. This is the fill plug. So we take this out. Hopefully nothing leaks out of here. Yeah, so that hole up there, essentially we fill the transmission until liquid starts coming out of there, and that's how you know your transmission is full. And that's why it's important to have the car level. So, if you have the car lean too far back, obviously it's probably gonna take longer for fluid to fill that hole because all the fluid's gonna be in the back of the transmission. So make sure you have the car level, and I'm gonna get some fluid in there real quick. So what we have here, we have one of our lightweight shock proofs, and I picked up this little handy dandy pump from Harbor Freight. essentially we're just taking the fluid out of the bottle and transferring it up into the transmission. And that way we can sit under here and watch for that to start dripping, and then we'll know we're full. And it actually goes pretty quick. I thought it was gonna take a while. That was like freaking 4 pumps and the bottle is empty. So we can just keep doing this until that's full and we'll be done, good to go. And then we can change our oil. So if you look up here, you can see the fluid is just starting to drip out, and that's what we want. That means that this is 100% full, and now we can get our fill plug back on and move on, finally. So that is how you properly flush the fluid in your transmission on a 6-speed. And here's our properly drained transmission fluid. So definitely a lot more fluid than last time. Not exactly sure how much we got, but I'm glad I saved the old bottles because we're gonna need them to drain that into. Now we can move on to our oil change. And like I mentioned, I haven't done an oil change since we got this car off the dyno, so I'm super curious to see how good this oil looks. Alrighty, moment of truth here. Hopefully she looks good. Not too shabby by the first looks. Well, after changing the oil and we got our filter out and everything, have a look in here. I did see a few, if you look in there, maybe a few little metal flakes, but overall, for running this thing since January or February with no oil change, I'm pretty happy. And if you guys remember, when I originally built this motor, the one thing I didn't replace or really clean out were the cam gears. They're the same cam gears that were on my rod-knocked engine before we built this one. So, more than likely, there was a decent amount of metal shavings in there. So, it doesn't surprise me that there's metal shavings in here. There was metal shavings to begin with. So, overall, for literally ripping on it for this many months, that oil looks super clean and I'm stoked. Let's get this thing filled back up and then we'll take it for a little drive, see how the transmission feels, make sure the car's running good, and then yeah, we'll be done. And now our boy Panzer is happy. We are topped off on oil, topped off on gear oil. The last thing we need to do is rear diff, but I don't have any gear oil for that at the house right now, so I'll have to do that later. But yeah, first oil change since dyno day. Poor Panzer. He probably hates me, but it's all right. All right, let me show you guys something. So I just went ahead and emptied this drain pan completely of all our gear oil, and we almost filled all the bottles, but we still have 1.5 bottles empty, meaning originally when this car had its first transmission flush, well, before that, when we've been driving the car, it's been on 2.5 quarts in the transmission out of 4. So almost half the capacity in the transmission, and that is probably why we have a 4th gear grind. So even though we messed it up the first time, it was actually still low. So yeah, hopefully with having its proper 4 quarts in the transmission, that 4th gear grind won't come back for a long time. And the little bit that I've driven the car with an overfilled amount of transmission fluid, there's been no 4th gear grind, so I'm happy with that. scared to drive it because I don't want anything to happen to it. But every time I drive it, I don't want to get out of it. I definitely want to get to the track and see what it'll run, and also kind of, you know, sharpen my driving abilities, but we'll see. I was going to do it this year, but it might be next year now because the Evo build's going to take up some priority. I still got to buy slicks and some rotor wheels for this thing, so we'll see. Sending you back in the seat. I'm not even in the high map right now. Love it. There ain't nothing like it. Literally nothing like it. Right now, I don't know if it likes this climate or something, but it feels freaking fast. That was 45 pounds. I know some of you guys are probably saying you gotta let the new oil kind of break in a little bit. Well, I gave it about 10 miles. If it's gonna break, it's gonna break. I've been ripping on this car non-stop since we got it off the dyno. If it's gonna break, it's gonna break. The tiniest little fourth gear grinds now, nothing like what it was. And honestly, it's been getting better as we drive it, so. I'm gonna guess like 200 more miles and the grind will be completely gone. Like normal shifting, there ain't nothing. It's only really when I downshift, just decelerating. All right, we got her back in the garage before the storm hits. And I think our boy Panzer's ready to be a daily again, so I'm excited to finally get to drive this thing without worrying that we're hurting the transmission anymore.